Welcome back to Hike, Hill, and Hustle, the podcast where movement meets mission, wellness meets wisdom, and hustle has heart. I'm your host, Randy Black, and today's guest is a man who literally walks the talk. Well, walks the walk in your case. He's a health tech innovator, founder of Bear Health. Is that correct? I'm pronouncing that right? I thought
That's
so.
right.
I heard you say it on an interview, actually. And the visionary behind Behydration, a movement challenge dedicated to wellness, endurance, and equity. So please welcome Kwame Terra.
Thanks for
Kwame, you
having me.
want to start by letting us know who you are?
Yeah, great to meet everyone. Great to meet you. Happy to be on the show. And yeah, I mean, I started a little bit about my background. So I was born here in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I grew up in Houston, Texas, but ultimately made my way back to New Orleans, where I attended Xavier University, Louisiana, uh, originally pursuing my doctorate or MD. So I was pre med. That was the original goal when I went to undergrad, and then got introduced to research early on, and really wanted to have impact at scale. And so that's kind of what led me to public health. I ultimately went on to get my master's of public health with a concentration in health equity from Xavier University, Louisiana. And it was during that time, or just a little bit before that time, that I came up with the idea of Bear Health, and kind of gotten to where we are today. Along that time, I spent a lot of time running. So, ran as a kid. All my entire family, come from a family of runners. I got six siblings. Four of us were, state competitors, some state champions, collegiate runners, all of us. And so, it's been really a part of my life for all of my life. And then now, as building up a wellness movement and running and run clubs have become super popular, I figured I'd dust off the shoes and kind of hit the pavement with everybody that's out here, running to find community, running to get healthy, whatever reason they're running. I feel like I can bring some value to the space.
Wow, I didn't know that about your childhood. I think that is awesome. You got a family of runners,
Hmm.
and I think that's great because Hike, Hill, and Hustle was born because of my introduction as an adult. I was 45 when I started, and I'm 50 now. So it's only been 5 years for me. I didn't
Hmm.
come from a family of runners, very active. So I had to ease into it, if you will, because it's great to hear that someone in the community that I grew up with. What first inspired you to take on long distance step challenge as both a personal challenge and a form of advocacy?
It actually started about a year ago. Uh, One of our users, team members, he and I were talking, and I had this campaign idea where I would take 1 million steps to raise $1 million for our company. And so this was last April. And so we're talking, and he said he'd help me prepare for it. His name's Dr. Griggs, health influencer here in the city. And so in May, we kind of start, practicing, if you will, or training to take 1 million steps in 30 days. And so that's 5 miles of walking per day, 30,000 steps per day, 30,000 plus. And, all the while working, and, you still have to live your life and do your job and whatnot.
You do.
And so I wasn't super focused on it in May, but he was. And in 30 days, he did over 1 million steps. He ended up losing 20 pounds in 30 days, and was taken off his blood pressure medication. So what started as a campaign to help us raise money for the company ended up transforming his health. And again, this is a regular, everyday individual, not a super athlete or anything like that. He's 50, I don't actually know, mid 50s. And so just in a sense, on a whim, went out there and did 1 million steps in a month and changed his health. And he's kept that weight off since. It's now been over a year. And just really encouraging to see, because our goal as a company is to predict, prevent, and reverse the chronic conditions that plague our community. And in just 1 month, we helped an individual do that. And, it's moments like that that really make me, I guess you would say, proud, because when you set out to accomplish something, you don't necessarily always accomplish it, and especially when other people are involved, right? When you have to get engagement from other people for your self work to accomplish that mission, it's just yeah, it's rewarding and fulfilling to see. And so that kind of kicked things off. So that was May of 2024. Then in June of 2024, I did 1 million steps in a month. He kind of passed me the torch, and I did it myself. July, another user did it in 28 days, so that was the fastest to 1 million steps in 30 days. Again, regular. He is a business analyst, works a desk job in the city. He lost like 28 pounds. The following month, two users did it. In October, we all got to talking like, what's the world record? What you thought y'all think any of us can go after the world record? So that was kind of the seed of it. And then in March of this year, I was at a conference, and an investor on this panel was discussing like the power of influencer marketing and how influencers are starting to create businesses. I was just thinking about, how do I become an influencer? What's something that I can do to garner a significant amount of attention, to raise awareness about what we're doing, and that might help us. That was at the end of March, and then I looked at my calendar for the year, and April was the only month that was going to make sense based on my schedule. 3 days later, um, I'm starting my journey to take 2 million steps.
Well, what was the world record? You said the.
Yeah, the world record was 1,971,200. I don't forgot at this point. Yeah,
Oh,
1,971,000 steps. So it's about a little over 65,000 steps a day, 30 plus miles of walking per day. I wasn't sure if I could do it. I did the million, but to double that, like doing the 1 million was hard. There were a couple of days where, I finished a run and I couldn't walk until like later that day when doing the million steps. So I wasn't sure how my body was going to respond to the 2 million, but I was just taking it one day at a time. The first 5 days were pretty intense. They were pretty brutal. I was in pain all day, every day, because my body was adjusting to walking so much. So I was so tight and in so much pain that I couldn't even stretch to help it. On the third or fourth day, I started having some sharp pains, like from dehydration and lack of fuel, and then I started getting proper fueling, and then I just, again, one day at a time, 67,000 steps a day, 13 plus hours of walking per day, and then
it's amazing. Your story combines physical endurance and public health. What was your most powerful moment on the road during the walk for Black health?
yeah, I think the most powerful moment combines a few important things. I think life lessons. About 10 days in, I started experiencing significant pain in my left Achilles. Before I started this, I was training for a 10K. It's called the Crescent City Classic here in New Orleans. It's a major 10K. And me and my running club, Soul Running. This is something we'd been training for months. When I made the commitment to do these 2 million steps, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to compete in the
Mm-hmm.
Crescent City Classic because it's in April. About 8 days or 6 to 8 days out from that, I can't run. I literally cannot push off at all. Like, we often kind of rely on brute force and our own ability and our own intellect and our own knowledge to try to accomplish what we want to achieve. But it's so important to seek expert counsel. It's like the day before the conference, I'm at the Crescent City Classic Expo event, and there's a gentleman on a panel. He's a podiatrist. I go to the panel, and then I ask a question. I let him know what I'm doing. I really want to run tomorrow, but like, should I risk it at all? And I asked, what can I do? He told me to put a heel insert in, right? Just like one of those small heel gel inserts that you get
Mm-hmm.
from the corner or convenience store, and make sure I'm stretching, right? Because it's just my Achilles is ultimately just super tight. And I walked from the hotel to Walgreens, picked up some insoles, and all of a sudden I can run with no pain.
Really?
I was just so
Huh.
humbled, right? Because there are just things that you just don't know, that you don't have to endure if you just knew better. One thing that we try to do here at Bear is always be responsive to our user experience, and always looking for different ways that we can be better along the way. Make sure that you're constantly seeking expert advice, because I would not have been able to run. So I ended up running the Crescent City Classic the next day. I ran a 10K. I ran 36. 37 minutes and
I
40 minutes.
love that. I appreciate the transparency about how your body felt, how you
Mhm.
felt, the professional advice. You're connected with Soul Running. How did that relationship begin, and how has it supported your mission?
Soul Running actually started off as Soul Brothers. Last year in April, a run club called NOLA Miles, I reached out to them and offered to sponsor their first meetup. I was, the person that was supposed to show up for to lead stretches wasn't there. They asked me if I would lead stretches. I'm leading stretches at NOLA Miles Club for the next 3 months, right? And two of those guys asked me if I would start training them. We met up at the track and did a track workout, and they really enjoyed that. At the next meetup, they're practicing the techniques that I suggesting to them, and the other two guys want to learn something too. We all start meeting up and we all start training for the Saints Five. Or one of the guys that's a part of our group, he's a marketing and brand expert, and he puts together a logo. We're all in a group chat talking about what should our group be called. We
I love it.
Soul Brothers, and that's kind of how we started. So it was just us five. We competed in the Saints 5K, made a statement. You know, we did really well that day, and people recognized that. And so we would meet on Sunday mornings on the lakefront here in New Orleans, just for like our Sunday long runs. And then one of our members is a yoga instructor, and he would kind of walk us through yoga. And he invited other people that were at the yoga class, like, hey, I want to come run with y'all before y'all do yoga too. And so that's kind of how what we call now Soulful Sundays started, which is our weekly meetup. We decided to make the pivot to soul running, and that happened right around the Crescent City Classic. And we still have the Soul Brothers brand, and we have a podcast that we're trying to get going. It's a good movement, and it's powered by Bear Health. We run challenges in the app every month where everybody in the soul running community can kind of track their monthly mileage, compete with one another. Um, as both of our brands grow, we support each other. Opportunities that we give, we make sure that everybody's benefiting. So,
Wow. Inspiring the city. I find that amazing. We're going to move on to the second pillar, which is our healing, the why behind the walk. So, can you share how your passion for public health and equity fuels your work with Bear Health?
it really started during the COVID-19 pandemic. I've always been into health. I just wanted
Mm-hmm.
to become the best runner that I can. Make sure that I'm fueling properly. My senior year in college, this was kind of after my competitive career. I uh, I became plant based, so I stopped eating meat. It wasn't for health though. It was I had watched a documentary about animal agriculture and the environmental impact of it on the planet. I learned more about animal cruelty, and it just struck me as that the animals would probably prefer that we didn't raise and kill them for food. If I could reduce some suffering, then I'm going to reduce some suffering. That was 2015, so I just made 10 years this year. I talk about that a lot with people. I hosted a screening of what the documentary "What the Health" in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Those are kind of like my early days of exploring the space, and it was like I really want to do something specifically for the Black community because the virus is preying on our community the most, and what had put us at risk were things that I knew to be 100% preventable in most cases: hypertension, type 2 diabetes, heart disease. These comorbidities that they call them plague our community, and most of them are predictable, preventable, and reversible in many cases if we intervene early on. And so my first thought was, I don't think we know how bad we're doing as it relates to
Mm-mm.
our health in the Black community. I think we know we're not doing great. We know we need to eat better. We know we need to move more. But I don't think many of us know that we can have a heart attack at 40 if we don't get it together. The first sign of heart disease is a heart attack, and you don't always survive those. My goal is to raise awareness first and foremost. We do that through our health scores, kind of like a credit score, but for your health. It's based on 7 different components: physical activity, nutrition, mindfulness, sleep, mental well being, physical health, self control. Those 7 components, we track over 100 different metrics across those 7 categories. And every day your score changes depending on how you change, right? So if you go on a run or a walk one day, your score is going to go up a few points. If you get 2 or 3 hours of sleep one night, your score is going to go down. And then based on those changes, you'll get messaging from our coach as well as have the opportunity to connect with healthcare providers and resources on Bear Connect, which is a directory platform of culturally competent healthcare providers and resources. So that's the original vision. I wanted two things. I wanted to communicate clearly to the Black community our current health status, and then I wanted a system where I can follow up once people are educated. We host tons of workshops all over the country that get people motivated for 2 or 3 weeks to be healthy or change their lifestyle.
Hmm.
But there's no system of follow up. And in sales or in business, we like to say the fortune is in the follow up, or the results are in the follow up. You can reach out to somebody about your business, but you need to reach out to them 5+ times if you expect most people to engage or buy what you're selling. And same thing here in health. If you want people to stay consistent and stay on it and stay motivated, we need to follow up with them. And ultimately, 2023, we really started to lock in, went full time, and um, 2.5 years later, we're about to have our official launch here this fall. This fall.
This fall. That's
Mhm.
awesome. So you have covered a lot of the tech and equity. So I just want to ask you one question under heal. So, what mental and emotional practices help you stay grounded while navigating the scale and pressure of such a bold initiative? How are you staying grounded?
Mhm. Uh, One way that I stay grounded, I think, could be helpful for people is by simplifying my life as much as you possibly can. Minimize the number of priorities you have in your life. I'm not just competing with health and wellness businesses or health technology businesses, right, or Black owned businesses. I'm competing with everything that is trying to get people's attention.
Mhm.
I have to be able to work harder than everyone else. And in December 2022, I decided that only a few things mattered to me for a couple of years, temporarily.
Oh,
Um, my health, right, my business, and my family on special occasions.
you
But
did not just say on special occasions. Then you look down like, yes, I did.
mhm, yeah, well,
Right, those are your
relationships,
boundaries.
they should be, and they come with challenges sometimes. And I wanted to reduce the amount of potential. Um, Again, I don't want to say my family is a distraction, but when things are challenges within your family, it grips you emotionally, and you can't think about anything else but that. And so, um, when there's minimal engagement, there's less chance for there to be conflict. It's a temporary thing, 2 years, 2 year commitment, just to kind of give birth to and get Bear Health off the ground. Transparently, my mom hates it, but uh, but she's still here
Okay.
for you know you, I wanted to limit the number of things that I did that provided me instant gratification, because I knew that I was working on something that was going to have significant delayed gratification with the business. I didn't want things interfering with my willpower. A lot of my friends said I basically became boring because all that all I did was work and coach and learn about things that I could do to improve my health and longevity. Like made sure that I went to Thanksgiving and Christmas and bachelor parties and weddings. Like I did all of those things, and they've been phenomenal. But at the end of the day, I've been sitting in this office, um, doing my job and strategizing how to do it better, and it's paid off. This is my first attempt at being a founder and CEO of a startup company. The first year we raised about $80,000 in grants. Second year we raised a little over 300,000 in investments and grants. And now in a few months I'll have my own independent app called Bear Health, and I'm in complete control of my company, own 90+% of my company, and that's the result of that relentless focus that I've had over the past 2.5 years. And once we raise a little bit more money, and I can bring on a team, bring a little more balance into my life, but it is a necessary sacrifice to make, for something as grand as building a comprehensive healthcare resource for the Black community, building a healthcare system for Black people. Our goal is to have a nationwide network of clinics and wellness centers all connected to the apps.
Wow, that is amazing. I am in awe of all that you are doing. We're just going to go to one question under hustle. What advice do you have for others creating purpose driven platforms at the intersection of tech, wellness, and equity.
I really regard any effort to create change that basically alleviates undue suffering as a moral obligation. And honestly, where you will find the most meaning in your life, taking on that responsibility. We'll know that we've done this right when um, we set up societies that people want to live as long as they possibly can, not to miss out on the opportunity that we created.
Well, because this platform is targeted for Black women, I do have to ask you a question. What
Mhm.
role have Black women played in your life, work, or your wellness journey?
My mom, obviously, despite her resistance to my decision to not talk to her as much, she just has some skepticisms around the idea of like entrepreneurship, and she just doesn't want me to struggle in any way. And she's a mom, and so she'll share her thoughts and opinions. Uh, the day before I broke the record, she ended up flying in town. The day of, she from Houston. She made sure that she was there, so that's how she wrote that note on the banner that had been created by another group of women actually. So we have soul brothers, and then we have soul sisters. And the soul sisters secretly planned a party for me. At the end of the challenge, I decided that I was going to host a block party. They had put together a banner that says "Congrats on breaking 2 million," and they also created a plaque that said "Congrats on hitting 2 million." Like my bros didn't do that. Like,
I saw your banner. I saw it
mhm.
on your Instagram.
Yep,
I love
that's
it.
it.
I
That
mean,
was that
I
was a
love that.
surprise from the solstices.
Oh, wow.
I went to I go to Xavier. My company is based at Xavier University of Louisiana, and we host several interns every semester. There have probably been 60, 70 plus student interns who have passed through here, and a
Wow.
significant amount of them have been women. And they've brought an element to the business that I just don't have and can't really. I just would prefer that a woman kind of take on certain aspects of what we do here. And right now, our health navigator is a young woman who is completely into wellness, super passionate about wellness, does yoga every day, is plant based herself, and just has a tone about her that is warm. And women have been an absolute integral part of. Like we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be where we are without the women on our team and the women in my life. So
Well, that's great. Shout out to the women who are helping you at Bear. So we're gonna do some rapid fire round. What's your favorite long distance walking snack or recovery fuel? How do you recover?
recovery fuel. I don't really like to eat right after. I'm not hungry right after. I like a smoothie. I like a very refreshing drink. Some like hibiscus.
You make it yourself, the smoothie?
No, 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 no.
You go
Um,
somewhere and get a smoothie?
I do. I like the Daily Warrior at Smoothie King. I also like the green protein smoothie at Main Squeeze. What else do I have? I would always have a half of a protein bar before and after a race or before and after practice. That was something that my dad had me and my sister do.
Is as we close, where can our audience connect with you to support your mission or join your movement?
Yeah, so follow us on Instagram at Bear Health. That's BEHR Health. You can also follow me, Kwame Terra, KWAME, TERRA on Instagram. I encourage people to download our beta app. It's called Dakadoo. So Dakadoo is DACADOO. Go find out your health score, join a challenge on the app, and get ready for the official launch of the Bear Health app this fall. To exit, when you first download the app, again, it's Dakadoo, DACADOO. Once you download it, it's going to ask you for an access code. You can put Hike Hustle Heal all caps, or Hike Heal Hustle all caps, and get into the app, get your health score, and then again engage with us as we prepare for the official launch of Bear Health. We do have another world record attempt that we are preparing for. We want to break the world record for the most people in a virtual run/walk event. For the official line, it's free to participate, but we do ask people to invite people to be a part of this because the world record is 773,000 people, and
Okay.
our goal is 1 million. If we don't come close to that, we will at least as a community try to cover enough distance to reach the moon on that day. So bear health to the moon.
Oh,
That's the
I
theme of
love
this campaign.
Bear
So
Up to the Moon. Well,
what
Kwame,
about you?
thank you. I appreciate you coming on. Your work is footsteps toward a healthier, more equitable future. And that is going to wrap us up for today. So keep hiking, keep moving, and keep hustling
Absolutely.
on your terms.